going on? I'm not going to be here long today. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys are having a good day. Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and the Black Business School. And I want to say welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. So if you're Black and intelligent, then throw your hands up. Also, you got to be Black first. Black first. We talk about hashtag B1. B1 means that you are Black first. You're Black before you're gay or straight. You're Black before you're Democrat or Republican. You're Black before you're liberal or conservative. You're Black before you're Christian or Jewish or Muslim. You're Black before anything else. So type a hashtag B1 in the chat. Let me know that you're Black first. That's really, really important. Not just Black, but bliggity Black. And hit the thumbs up button also, by the way, if you're watching online. So I want to talk about the Rona. The Rona is that virus that's been, really causing a lot of controversy. It's become politicized, and I'm not interested in the politics. I really want to know what's really going down, what's really going on, and who it's affecting the most. So I saw this article, and it's actually in CNN of all places, which unfortunately CNN, they used to do unbiased, objective reporting. Now they've gotten a little bit more where they almost seem to have an agenda, and I don't like that. I don't like any media outlet that has an agenda, but that doesn't mean that they can't offer value, right? Because you can learn from hearing someone's truth from their agenda, but you must also hear other truths from other agendas, right? That way you're getting a balance. You're getting a balanced diet of information. You're not getting all your information from one source or one mindset. You're getting diversity. So let me pull this up. Hit the thumbs up button. If you just came in, please hit that thumbs up button. All right. So in CNN, here's what it says. It says new numbers released by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention offer a comprehensive picture of who in the United States has been diagnosed with COVID-19 and how they fared. The latest figures confirm. Now, this is going to blow your mind, right? You've never heard this anywhere else. This is going to confirm something that's literally going to knock your socks off. You're going to be shocked when you hear this. They said that the data confirms that the virus most likely affects older people, minorities, that's basically another term for like not white, and those with pre-existing health conditions. Did you know that? How many of y'all knew this? And my God, I had no idea that COVID-19 most likely affected older people. I had no idea that Black people were getting it more than white people. I had no idea that having a bunch of pre-existing health conditions is a risk factor in COVID, right? So thank you for telling us the obvious. Thank you for telling us that water is wet and grass is green, the sky is blue, and and that Joe Biden and Donald Trump are both a couple of old white racists. All right, so let me dig in. Let me get serious here. This is data, right? This is what I want you guys to have. This is my own bias. My bias is I like facts. I like fucking facts. Called double F. I like fucking facts. I don't like spin. I don't like you telling me what my truth is supposed to be. I don't like that. But maybe that's because I went to school. I read a few books. I have a brain of my own, right? I take in information and then I process it. I don't need you to process it for me and then take it in. It's like that's like if you're a master chef, why would you let somebody else always cook your food for you? They could poison the food. They could cook the wrong thing. They could give you something you don't want to eat. It could be unhealthy for you, right? So instead of letting people cook your intellectual food, I'm a big believer in you cooking at home. Just like eating with food and having a healthy diet, it's better to eat at home than it is to go always eat out. So when it comes to information and how you process it, you can get your ingredients for your processing, from other people. Get them from different sources. Go to different information markets, but then cook at home because you're living in a world that is really fucked up. I don't mean to cuss so much today, but I'm sorry. Y'all know me. I got to tell it like it is. You live in a real fucked up world right now. It's very divided. People got their own agendas. And, it had this Black Lives Matter shit. About 35.4% of the Black Lives Matter shit is bullshit. About 35.4% of it is another agenda disguised as a Black agenda. It is literally the Black wing of the Democratic Party. That's what it's become. It's somebody else pursuing their agenda using Black faces to get it done. It's no different from when KFC sets up an office in China. They're not a Chinese restaurant. It's KFC China or Pepsi China or Google China, right? So basically you're getting the blackface of the Democratic Party. They're taking all the Democratic Party issues and they're putting a blackface on it. And then you're like, oh, that's for me. Because I agree that Black Lives Matter too. No, it ain't for you. It's for them. You're just the mask. They're putting your skin. Let me keep going. All right. So here's the deal. So there's about 1.7 million COVID cases out there in America. 103,000 deaths. RIP to everybody who's been affected, and my heart goes out to all of you who've been affected by any of this. I too, I had somebody, there was a friend of the family that died, and it was very sad. So my heart goes out. I went to a funeral last week, but it wasn't a COVID funeral. It was a different kind of, but it was still sad. The data comes from local, state, and federal sources and is consistent with those reporting through the Johns Hopkins University Resource Center. Okay, so here's what they found out about the Rona. Here, these are facts. This is data. These are details. I think it's important to arm yourself with facts. Overall, 14% of the people who were tested ended up in the hospital. 2% went to intensive care. 5% died. So of the people that were tested, which isn't everybody, right? If they tested everybody, there are experts that say the mortality rate would be lower if they tested everyone, but they test people who have symptoms or who think they might have it or who think that they've been exposed. So you're talking about, in statistics, we would call that a biased sample, but it is what it is, right? It doesn't mean that it's not relevant information. You just have to know what it is. And so they said hospitalizations are 6 times higher and deaths are 12 times higher if you have an underlying condition. So for those who have pre-existing conditions, your likelihood of going to the hospital or dying is much, much, much higher. And so if you want to know why I had no problem 5 months ago being labeled by white media as asshole of the year, I'm a black man. I'm used to them hating me, right? I'm okay with that. It's okay to be hated by white people. Things appear to be changing, but we know how it is, right? I had no problem being labeled asshole of the year when we talked about Lizzo and the mass promotion of obesity, throughout the world, particularly in the black community, where obesity, heart disease, diabetes, things like that are killing black people. Now, this was no offense to Lizzo. Actually, Lizzo herself, I think she agrees with me because I saw where she had videos showing herself exercising, eating vegan. I love that. I think that's awesome, right? And I think as black people, we got to really think about, what role do we play any role in our own demise? Do we play? You've been trained for 400 years to destroy yourselves, to kill yourselves, to basically do self-genocide, right? And I encourage you to really sort of think through these things and be honest with yourself, and so basically what they're saying is that if you have the pre-existing conditions, you're 6 times more likely to go to the hospital if you get the Rona, 12 times more likely to die. And the most common underlying conditions were cardiovascular disease, 32%, diabetes, 30%, and chronic lung disease, 18%. Those are the 3 things that, those are the 3 underlying conditions that cause the most death. Now, pay attention. I need your attention for a minute. Can you? I want you guys to really focus on what I'm about to break down for you really quick. It's not complicated, but it requires your attention. So do I have your attention? Give me a yes in the chat if I have your attention. I need you to really focus on this because I'm going to break something down to you that I don't know if they break it down. I don't think I've ever seen it broken down like this anywhere else. So I just need you to sort of trust me on this when I break this down. So here's what they said. The incidence rate, the infection rate, based on the number of people they've tested, is 403.6 people out of every 100,000 people. You follow me? Give me a yes or no. Did you get what I'm saying? So that means if you have 100,000 people, 403 of them will catch the Rona, right? Now, let me put that into a different context so you can really follow what I'm saying. That means that if you had 1,000 people in a city, 1,000 people in a stadium, 4 of them would catch Corona. 4 out of 1,000. 4 out of 1,000. And also based on this data, there is a greater than 50% likelihood that half of those 4 people, at least 2 of them or 3 of them, are gonna be over the age of 70. So reverse that. So process that for a minute. And I'm talking about this slowly because I'm a math guy. I'm a numbers guy. That's what I used to teach math at University of Kentucky. So math is easy, a little simpler for me. So I want to take my time for those where math isn't your favorite sport. But I want you to kind of imagine if I told you that I want you to enter a lottery and your odds of winning are 4 out of 1,000. I'm going to put 1,000 balls in a machine, 4 of them are the winning balls. 996 do not win. 996 are white balls, 4 of them are red. Do you really think that you're going to pick one of the red balls? I mean, do you really think? I mean, somebody divide that. Like, if you divide that, like I didn't actually divide. Actually, if you divide that, it's like 0.004 or something, or 0.4%, like 0.5%, or less than 0.5%. It's much, much lower than that. Do you follow what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to tell you guys, and this is not me being a dick. I'm sorry, I'm cussing too much. I don't care. This is not me trying to be a deliberate asshole. This is me just being honest. And your chances of catching the virus are not as high as you think they are, at least right now. Now, sure, you've got exponential growth. That's a factor in the spread of a virus. So it could grow, right? But it hasn't, right? 4 out of 1,000 is not a big number. And remember, 3 out of those 4 people are old people. They're senior citizens. They've already got issues. A lot of them are in nursing homes, kind of just waiting to die. At least one of them is, right? Or 2 out of that 4, right? So I think it's really important to just know what your risk is, what it isn't. What happens is sometimes if something is constantly talked about in the media, if something is constantly striking fear in us, we get to the point where we think that the probabilities are higher than they are, right? So if every day, for example, if you live in a city like Chicago, every single day in Chicago on the news, somebody's getting murdered. Every single day in Chicago on the news, somebody has died from a gunshot wound. Chicago had the bloodiest day in history right around the George Floyd time. Nobody paid attention because everybody was focused on one death. They didn't see all the other death that was happening. But 18 people got murdered in a 24-hour period in the city of Chicago. Now, let me just tell you this, keeping it 100. I've lived in Chicago for years, 6 years. I was in the south side of Chicago for a lot of those years. I never once got shot at, not one single time. But if you were to watch the news in Chicago, but my heart goes out to those who know gunshot victims. My heart goes out to those who've been shot at. So I'm not belittling that experience at all. What I'm saying is that, you can understand if the media is constantly focusing on something, how people can get the probabilities distorted. So in another country, there are people in other countries who say, I don't ever want to go to Chicago because everybody gets shot in Chicago. Like, they really believe that. Like, they really think that Chicago. Or when I went to Medellin, Colombia, my brother moved to Medellin, and everybody in America was like, ooh, Colombia, whoa. They started thinking about Medellin and Pablo Escobar. And they're thinking you're going to get gunned down on a motorcycle drive-by by some narco or whatever, while you're eating your lunch, right? Like, people think that because media tends to draw attention to little situations that end up becoming blown up and made into something bigger than what they are. So the virus is very real. We know this. We've been saying that, and I don't think I have to tell you that. But you got to look at the numbers so you can calm yourself down and stop thinking that every time you shake somebody's hand that you might die. I saw a guy that I actually respect, and it's no disrespect to him, but it almost made me laugh. And he said that, people going to work or being asked to go to work during a pandemic is state-sanctioned murder. He said it was murder. And I said, that's not murder, man. Like, come on, man. Like, do we have to be that dramatic? Like, no. If you go to work, I told him, I said, look, I'll bet you $100,000 that if you go to work tomorrow, you won't die. How about this? We make a bet. If you think if it's murder, because I know people that have been murdered. I told you guys yesterday about my homeboy Greg Wilkins in Louisville, Kentucky, who was shot in the head in front of his daughter. So yeah, I know people. I know what murder feels like and looks like. Well, not feels like, but you get the point. But so I said, okay, I bet you all the money in the world. I bet $10,000. Let's make a $10,000 bet that if you go to work, you won't die. And I bet you that none of your friends that go to work tomorrow are gonna die from going to work. Now, some of them have a chance of possibly catching the virus that's out here, right? But the statistics show that they're probably not going to die. And I just told you guys that even the odds of catching the virus are 403 out of 100,000, which means that out of every 1,000 people, 4 of them will get it. And out of those 4, none of them will die. Like maybe a very small percentage of them will die. So you got to expand the denominator to get to the actual death. So out of 100,000 people, 4 of them will get the virus, 20 of them will die, right? Because that's 5%, right? So 20 is it? Wait, did I do the math wrong? Oh crap! Hold on. 1% of 400 is 4. So yeah, I did it right. So 20 of them will die. So out of that 20 that die, about 15 of that 20, out of that 400, out of that 100,000, 15 out of that 20 are old. They're in nursing homes. They've got pre-existing conditions, etc. Right. So I think that it's important to try to find some space to have balance. I know that's a dangerous conversation to have in a world where people go to extremes and everybody wants you to pick a side and all this other stuff. I don't like that. I love my friends that are liberals. I love my friends that are conservatives. I learn from my friends that are liberals to understand their point of view. I learn from my friends that are conservatives because conservatives have some good ideas too. I don't want to get caught up in any of that, because if I start getting too extreme, the only thing I'm extreme about is my love for blackness and black power and the empowerment of black people and the use of wealth to achieve that. And that is my biggest bias that there is. That's a bias. That's not the universal truth that black people are brilliant and amazing and better than everybody else. And we're the greatest people in the history of the world and that we can accomplish anything and that we're going to win. That's not the universal truth. That's just my truth. That's the truth I focus on. So that's the area where I'm probably the most where I can be criticized the most. Actually, the thing that I love the most is where I can be criticized the most, because I know that that's a bias. Because if I were Irish, I'd be fighting like a motherfucker for Ireland, right? If I were Chinese, it'd be China all the way. I'd be like Mother China, fuck everybody else, right? So at the end of the day, I think you have to know the areas where your extremism can benefit you, and the areas where your extremism does not benefit you. You cannot be an extremist in every category. A mother should be an extremist for her children. She should die for her kids. She thinks her kids are the most precious, most beautiful people in the world. She loves her kids no matter what, right? That's what you're supposed to be in. That's where you're supposed to be an extremist. But you can't be an extremist on everything, right? So at the end of the day, pick a side, man, but try to chill out. Don't get caught up in the nonsense, because some of this stuff that's going on politically, it's hurting people. It's really hurting people. When you're forcing people to stay home and they need to go to work so they can feed their kids, you're hurting people. You're starving out these kids because you're trying to win a damn election. I think that is about the most fraudulent, ridiculous behavior ever. But then you can also criticize the Trumps. If the Trumps are going around and getting hillbillies to go to conventions without wearing face masks and without sanitizing their hands, well, then that's not cool either. That's not cool at all, right? So I'm proposing this. I'm proposing that amongst the Council of Intelligent Black People, and I hope you'll hear me on this. I'm proposing that we be extreme in our blackness and extreme in our commitment to our community and building and fighting this war that we're fighting against all the things that seek to oppress us. But in all other areas, we become a little more measured, a little more methodical, a little more strategic, and a little more balanced, right? So that means that when a guy like Joe Biden shows up and says, if you don't vote for me, then you ain't black, you got to correct that shit right there, because he has no right to occupy and to enslave your blackness. He doesn't have the right to go conquer and acquire your blackness for his own personal benefit. Because if you're using your blackness to pursue Joe Biden's agenda, then how in the fuck are you going to use your blackness to pursue your own damn agenda? So I'm not saying you shouldn't have an agenda. I'm not saying that everybody doesn't have a bias or some level of extremism. Maybe in some areas, I could be accused of being full of shit as anybody else out here on CNN or whatever. I don't care about that. I'm not saying you shouldn't have a bias and shouldn't have an agenda. Everybody has something they love, but don't let somebody convince you that what they love should be more important than what you love. So choose what you love and be loyal to it. No different from a man choosing one woman, choosing one wife to be loyal to. And no matter how fat and ugly she might get, he's going to tell her she's the most beautiful woman in the world. No matter how many beautiful women come up to him, he's going to say, this is the woman I chose, right? No matter what opportunities may arise, that's the team he chose to play for, and that's where his commitment is. That's where his heart is, right? That's where his love is. So pick what you love and stick with that. and don't let somebody else sort of suck you in to their nonsense, because there's a whole lot of nonsense floating around. And a lot of the reason that Black people can't build a strong community, I'm gonna just tell you, the reason that you can't build a strong community is because so much of your energy is dispersed in other directions. So much of who you are has been claimed by other people. So many people have sucked you in to their, to their little agendas that you don't have time to pursue your own, starting with the white man that you chose to go work for every day instead of going with your brother and your sister and building a strong Black business that's going to pour money into the family, right? So it's, at the end of the day, the word is unity. I think other words are thoughtfulness. I think taking time to process things so you can make sure you're not being hoodwinked is very important. That's why Black intelligence matters. I think also when you decide to be extreme, then go ahead and be extreme. Like I, in general, if you want to know what goes through my head, I pick my battles. I pick the areas where I'm going to be measured, and then I pick the areas where I just don't give a flying fuck what anybody thinks. Or I'm willing to die on that hill. You can't die on every hill though, but you got to pick the hills you're willing to die on, because if you're not willing to die for something, then you've never truly lived. So figure out, what are you willing to die for? Like, what do you really love? Where does your loyalty lie? What areas are you ride or die, and what areas do you just put on the back burner? Decide that. So I'm out of here, guys. Thanks for listening. It was fun talking to you. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button before you go. Hello on Instagram. My Instagram is The Real Boyce Watkins, if you want to follow us there. I want to say thank you to the sister who made a donation. I would say your name because I see your face. And I know you make a lot of donations, but I cannot. My screen has frozen, so I apologize for not being able to thank you by shouting out your name. Next time, I'll definitely do that. And I'm out of here, guys. Have a good day. And one more thing, if you want to just get on our email list and get lots of free stuff, or if you want to learn to buy your first share of stock, or you want to get a free training on how to use like TD Ameritrade, which is a great platform to trade on, go to firstshareofstock.com. That's firstshareofstock.com. My bias is that I want Black people to be the most financially literate group of people in the world. My bias is that I believe that if we are training our children on economic intelligence at an early age, we can actually go acquire resources from other people. My bias is that I believe and understand that as a financial expert, that smart people are the ones who get the wealth from people who are not prepared. So my belief is that if we prepare ourselves, if we make ourselves economically intelligent, if we commit ourselves culturally to the acquisition of resources, that we can actually take the lead and give ourselves the biggest reparations check in history. So feel free to go to firstshareofstock.com if you want to get started over there. That's firstshareofstock.com. I'm out, guys. Have a good day, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Peace.